everyone, what's up? It's Sarah and welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to piggyback off of the video that I made yesterday about Paul and Pierre and how Pierre is missing and all of the contradicting stories that are going around right now, and just talk about everything that Paul has said, because if we just take what Paul has said, there is so much conflicting information going on in his own stories. So this whole thing started when the website Missing People in America posted Pierre's missing child's poster, which had Paul. It was kind of like a split screen. I'll put the poster up here again, but it was, Pierre is missing and he is believed to be in the company of his father. When people started to see that poster, people were like, what is going on? And that's really how this story kind of broke. Even though Pierre has been listed as missing since June 8th, it was just in the last couple days that this story really became public. And although Paul has made contact with several bloggers and media outlets, I want to stress that the important thing to take into consideration here is that the Louisville Metro Police Department considers this an open and active investigation, and they consider Pierre a missing child. So in my opinion, until Pierre is returned safe and is in the custody of the courts and that CPS and the police department have confirmed that he is safe, I am still going to consider Pierre to be a missing child. Additionally, Pierre's poster is still active at the point of this recording on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children's website. The fact of the matter, and we're going to get into more detail, but Paul has done nothing but lie about his whereabouts. And it's disappointing to see media outlets, like big time media outlets like People Magazine and TMZ, report as if this is, this was just they're literally saying it's a misunderstanding. That Paul said he's gonna go back to Louisville and take care of it, no big deal. No, this is a really big deal. I linked Auntie's Advice's live from yesterday in my last video, but I'll link it again, and I hope you guys watch it because that is the kind of energy that we need to have regarding this situation. It is way better to overreact to a missing child than to underreact and face detrimental consequences for underreacting. So please, if you haven't, go watch Auntie's Advice. She encapsulates most of the general viewers' feelings on this topic. We are so confused. We are outraged. We don't believe Paul, and we just want Pierre back home safe. So I wanted to go through, there was 4 main media outlets that from what I saw, Paul spoke with yesterday. And that was 2 bloggers, Auntie's Advice and John Yates. And then he also spoke to TMZ and People Magazine. And I'm going to go through what he told each of them and how none of it's the same. Okay, so let's go through what Auntie's Advice said her conversation with Paul went like. So apparently she messaged Paul on social media asking him, "Are you missing?" And he said, "It's a mess. I'll call you and explain. And if Karini and I can't have the kids, my parents deserve the kids." And then I guess sometime later, he actually did call Auntie's Advice, and he told Auntie that both of the kids were in foster care. Auntie said that she could hear cartoons in the background. Auntie asked him why he was on this missing persons list, and he told her that it was all backdated. And that is just, I can confirm that that is a lie, because I was told by Louisville police that Pierre is listed as an active missing child. She said she asked Paul if the children were together, and Paul told her they were with separate families, and said the courts deemed his parents unsuitable, and Paul said it was because they were too old. He told Auntie various stories, like he had a job in Brazil. Then apparently Paul started talking about Karini's sexual escapades, as if that even matters in this situation. Auntie then said she heard a child playing in the background. And then Linda from 90 The Melanated Way, because because Auntie's Advice was doing a live stream, so you can, do a live chat and then you could put the chats on the screen. So Auntie put the chat on the screen from Linda, and Linda said that she spoke to Paul and also heard a child in the background, and Paul said that in fact there was a child in the background. Auntie said she asked Paul 5 times if he had Pierre, and Paul said no. She ended up reporting her conversation to the police, and that, like I said, this is the kind of energy that we need to be having. Always, 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 when it comes to the safety of a child, err on the side of caution. Now let's go to what he told John Yates. And John Yates was going live with a blogger named Brooke. I believe that she runs the page 90 Days on Blast. So apparently they had a 3-way conversation with Paul, and this is what he told them. Now this is after, so this is actually the second conversation. In the first conversation, he told John Yates that he was actually at the courthouse trying to get his kids back, and that his kids were going to be adopted. So none of that was true. So let's now talk about this new story he's telling. According to this conversation, there was a court hearing June 8th where it was determined that no one blood related was fit to take care of these kids. So not Karini, not Paul, not Paul's parents, and that it was deemed that they should enter the foster care system. Now, Ethan was at daycare at the time and was picked up at daycare. And I guess Paul's mom, when she went to pick Ethan up, discovered that he was not there, and she was super upset. For some reason, Pierre was with Paul. We can all speculate as to why Pierre was with Paul, but all of a sudden, Paul is out of town. Paul told Brooke and John Yates that he had plans to take Pierre to a festival, and he appeared for this custody hearing via Zoom. One of the reasons why he said he took Pierre with him is that he has extreme separation anxiety. This was also reported in TMZ and People. And John Yates flat out says he surmises that Paul took Pierre because he was afraid of losing him. So let's go. I read much of the TMZ article yesterday on my video, but let's just sum up basically what he told TMZ is that he and Pierre have been on a long work trip because, you take 3-year-olds on work trips. And this is all a big misunderstanding. He also told TMZ that he was heading back to Louisville Stat to deal with everything. And then People magazine also put out an article, and it essentially echoed much of what TMZ said, but I will say that People magazine noted that the Louisville Metro Police Department considers this an open and active investigation. Now, here is what just doesn't make sense to me. Court dates, to my knowledge, are generally set ahead of time. Like there's a court schedule. So you would have had, at least a day's notice. Correct me if I know there can be emergency hearings, but if you are already involved in ongoing custody issues, why on earth would you leave town? That seems like such a terrible thing to do, as we see. Look at what a mess this has become. Paul was ordered to relinquish custody of Pierre to the courts on June 8th, and he hasn't yet. There is absolutely no reason to believe anything Paul says at this point. So, oh, Paul's headed back to Louisville. Okay, everybody can chill out. No, do not chill out. There is just no reason to believe him now that he is headed back to Louisville when he has had since June 8th to do so. I also wanted to point out that in that chaotic cameo that I included in my video yesterday, that was, I think it was like June 14th or something that he sent that cameo. He says in the cameo that his mother was calling him nonstop. I think he was like, oh, this is the 3rd time his mother was calling him. And he has multiple phones. He said that one phone was broken. I think he called it his production phone. And this is all just really concerning. He has multiple phones. his family members, his mother is trying to reach him and cannot get through to him. This is all very concerning. And it was yesterday, I think around 11 a.m. here on the East Coast when TMZ posted their story. In their story, they said Paul was on his way back to Louisville. So it's been over 24 hours. I haven't seen any reports that Paul is in fact in Louisville. I don't know how he's traveling. I'm assuming by car, but he could be flying. I don't know. But yesterday evening, Paul actually posts a video of Pierre at the beach, and he also posted a picture of him standing in front of a water feature. Now, Pierre seems to have different hairstyles in the video and the pictures, so likely these were not taken at the same time. So we don't even know if these were taken yesterday, if they were current videos and photos. We just don't know. It just all adds to the concerning nature of this case that Paul is supposed to be in Kentucky. Pierre is supposed to be in the custody of Child Protective Services, and he is not. And just because Paul is talking to TMZ people and other bloggers does not mean we can just assume that Pierre is out of harm's way. This all leads me to wonder, is Paul facing criminal charges for this? Could he be facing custodial interference, parental kidnapping? I don't know. This could be much more than just a simple, or however Paul wants to spin it, misunderstanding. This has become a big fucking deal. And the reason why I take this so seriously is you can Google cases where child custody cases have turned deadly. Google Susan Cox Powell. Google Dear Zachary. These are horrific cases. These are instances where parents do desperate things when faced with losing custody of their children. Assuming that Pierre is safe because he is with Paul is just not a safe assumption to be making. Again, Paul was ordered to turn over Pierre to the courts on June 8th and has not done so. It is now July 3rd. The absolute best case scenario is that this really is all a big misunderstanding, that Pierre and Ethan will be taken into loving families that can care for them, and that, you know, Paul and Karini, however they want to live their lives, it will not have a detrimental effect on their children anymore. That is the best case scenario. But in order for that to happen, Paul needs to return to Kentucky and relinquish custody of Pierre. The courts have deemed that the children are not safe with Karini, Paul, or Paul's parents. So Pierre should not be with Paul. As more updates come in, I will continue to relay those to you guys. Have a good day, you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.